ChadArmesTV, man, we are back with another really dope interview. I've been excited about this one, man. This is a buddy of mine and a super talented artist that we've had on the podcast before. We've been wanting to do this interview. It's just a matter of timing, and the time is finally here, man. We got my homeboy Mesus.
Salute, man. It's good to be here, and like you said, man, long time overdue. So,
Yeah,
well, not overdue, long time coming,
yeah,
and perfect timing, I would say. So,
I think so too, man.
amen.
We're we're just gonna do like we normally do, man. We're gonna
Yeah,
start from jump, man. I know you've told some stories with us on the pod. But that, as crazy as that sounds, I mean, bro, that was almost 9, 10 months ago.
that was right when I moved here, pretty
Yeah,
much.
it
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
seem like it was, but um, we'll just kind of start from the beginning, man. So, talk about like where you was born and raised at. Where you from?
Was born in Hammond, Indiana,
Mm-hmm.
which is borders Gary and basically the state line of Illinois, and lived in that area, Calumet City area, which is the first Illinois city
Yeah,
on that side of the state line, and it's like a southeast suburb, and lived there for I don't know a while. And then my mom and biological father, ended up divorcing, and my father passed away when I was young, and my mom kind of moved in with some people, did that a little bit for a while, and then eventually when I was like 5 or something, she got married again, and we moved to the East Coast. So for like 5 years, but when we came back, that was pretty much we got settled in and stayed in Illinois in the suburbs of Chicago. So
got you.
yeah,
When you went to live, so when you was 5, y'all moved to the East Coast.
yeah.
Where it was that? Just a little bit everywhere.
No, we moved to a a town called Fairfield, Connecticut. So
Okay,
it's about like an hour or so. I can't remember exactly. About an hour from New York City. So
got you. Okay,
so we spent, I kind of had a large East Coast influence on me at an early age, which was cool.
yeah. What was it like? I know you were young, but like on the East Coast side of things, I guess you were probably old enough to remember because that was from 5 to 10.
Yep,
How did you feel about like growing up there and going to school there and stuff like that?
it was cool, man. Like I mean, like I've always kind of felt like an outcast a little bit, I
Yeah,
guess, because like I was a new kid. You just started going to school at that age.
yeah,
So I was a new kid, and I'm from the Midwest. So I had, some kind of a different accent than the kids from the East Coast. So
yeah,
that natural, I'm the new kid. I kind of sound a little different than them. And kids were like, you know, they're just fucking brutally honest and shit,
yeah, yeah,
And so it was like, it kind of always felt a little, but got comfortable, and that you talk funny. Like, you fucking talk funny, bitch. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
What you
yeah,
mean? And so it was cool, but typical shit as a kid, man. I mean, I don't know. We didn't. I got into skateboarding and hooping and
yeah.
listening to music and trying to sneak the fuck out anytime I could, and
Right.
that shit, man. That was it. That was so typical. I was pretty fortunate to get to see the biggest city, New York City, like at that young of an age. We went quite a bit, because my mother, she worked pretty close to downtown. So, it was pretty frequent. We go down there for the weekend or what,
Yeah,
so that was cool, man, because sometimes when you are in something, you don't understand how cool it is until you kind of get out of it.
yep.
You know what I mean? And
You're just
so
accustomed to it.
yeah.
Yeah,
So I'd say shit. Once, not to jump too far ahead, but like
no, you're good.
once I got started doing the music shit, as an adult and going back into New York,
Yeah,
for the music and the labels and all that. It's even coming from a big ass city like Chicago and driving over there, you pull in, there's just something about the fucking skyline and shit, and then just the busyness of it. New York City is a inspiration for me as a person because it's like it's so it's like the melting pot of everything. And it's like, if you can survive that shit and you can and become something that actually stands out and people in that many people, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, man.
You said you lost your pops early. How old were you?
I was 2.5,
Okay,
man.
so you were
I
okay.
was a baby. Yeah, I was a little baby, man. I don't even really remember much. But
Was it
yeah.
so it was mom? Did you have any siblings?
So I had a I have an older brother from my mother and my biological father, and then I have two not step, because step is like married,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
guess, like, so
Like half.
half
Yeah.
uh sister and brother younger. So
Were they all like when y'all made the move to like East Coast? Was it all four of y'all? Was it that
no,
were
it
they
was
around?
just me and my brother, my older brother,
Yeah.
and then my sister came next, and then my brother, my younger brother, they had they had him like right before we moved. We
Gotcha.
moved
Okay.
back to Illinois pretty much like he was a baby when we moved. So
Yeah. And was it just like was it like job like your parents' jobs that made y'all relocate? Want to relocate back to like Chicago area, or was it?
oh so nah, my my mother, when her and my father divorced, it was pretty messy, like um and like it got real crazy, and
Right.
my old man was he was kind of, you know, my mother's uh a soldier, I'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
He's a trooper.
Things got rough.
He's pretty
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he ever like got like physical like that,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't believe, I don't know. All I know is that he was fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he was known around the neighborhood for shit. My uncles told me shit, and at the like height of like the divorce shit, me and my brother got kidnapped, and like
Oh wow.
that
And
that was kind of
by your pops.
by my, yeah, like
Yeah.
that side of the family and shit. And so like it got crazy, and then
And you're too young to remember
I
any of that
don't remember
happening,
none of
right?
this.
Which is, I'm sure, a better thing. I'm sure. How much older is your brother than
He's
you?
4 years older, so he's
So
about
he was old
6.
enough to remember it.
Yeah, he remembers
Unfortunately.
probably a little bit of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird subconsciously shit that we remember though,
No.
because I
Yeah.
was telling a story recently about how, you know, we were talking about dogs. I don't even remember what the fuck made this whole conversation happen, but we were talking about dogs, and I said the only dog I've ever been afraid of in my life was German shepherds, and
Mm-hmm.
I used to joke about it because I used to hustle, and I used to say, well, it's probably because they're cop dogs, and like that's what,
Right.
you know, I used to make a
Yeah.
joke about it, but it's weird because I always did have this little weird fear of them, like no other, you know, there's a lot of scary-ish breeds of dogs, dude,
Mm-hmm.
and none of them ever bothered me. But when I was a baby, still when my father was alive, I got you know those like little baby gates?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, I guess my mother heard screaming from the other, you know, room and came running in. And she saw like me underneath that bitch, and we had two shepherds, and they were just like going at each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know what happened, but basically like I was under the gate, and these two big ass fucking shepherds are just trying to kill each other. And I
Yeah.
think what probably happened is one of them probably jumped on the gate or something, knocked it down on me, and
And
then
the other one was taken up for you.
the other one
Yeah.
was. But you know, it's crazy that I really believe that is what made like planted that little itty
Mm-hmm.
bitty. So
And you
I
never really remember it specifically, but subconsciously it's there. So it
exactly.
gives you that, and that.
It's crazy because then
Yeah.
because when you say like, you know, I say that to say my old man, I don't, man, like I don't
Yeah.
remember him, but I wonder how many things about me are the way they are because of shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, because there was some shit I know that, you know, like I said, man, my mother loved him, and he was a, you know, he was a great person. This is from my mother's account. You know, she fell in love with him, never would have, you know, if he wasn't. High school, you know, my
Yeah.
mother had me when she was 22, and she had my brother when she was
Yeah.
18,
So right out of high
or
school, or
17 and
yeah.
21, I think it was actually. So she was super young, and you know, at least 17, 21's maybe not too young for a kid, but like, I mean, she, you know, they have 2 kids by 21, you know, my
Mm-hmm.
mother was busy but she loved my father. And, but he, you know, he struggled, man, with like, uh, anger. My mother said big time, like, you know, and then also like just, you know, he got into drinking really bad. But back then, this was when like if a man's raising his family and he's taking care of his priorities, shut the fuck up. You know what I
You
mean?
just look past it.
Yeah, you look past it and let it
Yeah.
go. But my mother, so she, you know, she tried to get help, but it was like, you know, the family would always kind of like, you're tripping. Like
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
father's side, you're tripping. He's doing it. He's fine.
He takes care of
He
the
takes care of you.
monetarily. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they didn't see it. They kind of ignored it. And so anyway, once it went down, it got kind of ugly. And you know, I didn't know at the time, but basically we kind of disappeared, bro. That was that East
Mm-hmm.
Coast jump. Like again, I was so young, I didn't really
Yeah.
understand,
Yeah.
but it was kind of a like, it's best if we're not around kind of shit, I guess. And I never remember meeting my grandparents on that side until I was like 12 years old or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like monitored visits and shit for a
It
while,
was
you know.
sketched there for a while
Yeah,
because of what
had
happened.
to be
Yeah.
monitored and shit because they were still like not sure. So, but
You said your pops had like anger issues? Is that something you've ever had to deal with?
absolutely,
It
that's what I
is.
mean. You
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
that I have a streak, bro. That like, and by the grace of God, man, it's definitely nowhere near what it was, bro.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, absolutely, man. Like things that, you know, I mean, down to my mother saying it. She's like,
Yeah.
you are," and she wouldn't say it in like a what's the word, like a, you know,
Like a
disrespectful way.
derogatory way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
she would say she said you're, because my older brother is much different than I am. Me and him are very, you know, different in a lot of ways. Like
Mm-hmm.
we get along great, but we're just very different. But my mother would tell me, she's like, you're so much like your father. And she's like, and it scares me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because she's like, you're like his twin, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're his son, you know, like Steve, which was my father's name,
Mm-hmm.
my older brother Steve, you know, she's like, he's more kind of like not, you know what
Yeah.
I
More.
mean?
Yeah.
And but yeah, we both and you know, I can't remember if I was talking about this yesterday or not, but I mean, I drinking has always been something that kind of scared me, and I try to
Mm-hmm.
stay away from it because of things I knew about my father. And so I smoked a lot of weed growing up, but I didn't drink much. You know, I would have a cup in my hand at a party or, you know,
Socially. Yeah.
socially,
Yeah.
just very not, you know, crazy, but my tolerance is just dumb, man. Like and I've had seasons in my life as I look back where I like get a little too whatever, and it's usually cuz like things are not going the greatest in my life,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll
Medicate it.
medicate it.
Yeah.
And I mean, dog, it's crazy the for someone who's not like a person who's been drinking their whole life since their 20s or whatever, the tolerance that I had, and it scares me because I'm like, damn, and this is like, I don't even drink like that, and I'll put back a fucking, you know, whatever, a lot, you
Mm-hmm.
know, not really beer. I don't drink a lot of beer, man, but
Yeah.
liquor. But so yeah, it does, bro. I do think that streak is there, but I've music has been the medicinal thing, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing God gave me. Like you said, medicate, but I don't think alcohol is the God given medication. You
No,
know,
that's just the
no,
yeah.
I know what you meant by it, but
Yeah.
I'm saying
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
God gave me music, bro. Music
Mm-hmm.
is the proper way to dispose of that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the healthy way. You know, and so yeah, and that's, you know, I guess a good segue to talk about it,
No, yeah,
really, you
perfect,
know?
perfect. So, what's the earliest memories you have of music, as far as maybe a certain song or a certain artist or a certain style of music? You may have remember growing up listening to your mom playing it or your older brother
Hmm.
playing it, that kind of got you like, put you in a certain good headspace, or maybe it was rap, whatever it may have
Yeah.
been.
Yeah. Well, I got exposed to music kind of through my brother first because he was older.
Mm-hmm.
So, just kind of by that reason. Um, and so he listened to like a lot of like rock,
Mm-hmm.
because that was kind of, we're talking like shit early, well, not early, but like late 80s, I guess, or
Yeah.
whatever. So you're talking about like,
Hair metal and shit like that.
yeah, he
Yeah.
liked shit, Metallica.
Mm-hmm.
He liked Guns N'
Oh
Roses.
yeah.
I think Guns N' Roses was like the first music that I liked. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like it was, where I actually wanted to hear their shit.
Yeah.
There was songs, of course, you could hear songs. You're like, oh, it's kind of a cool song. But I think they were like the first group that actually there was some shit that I was like, damn, this is like Appetite for
Bro,
Destruction.
that's one of the greatest. I mean, song for song, that's one of the greatest rock albums ever.
That
I
shit
would
was
say
crazy,
that's
man.
the one with Paradise City and Welcome to the
Yeah,
Jungle and Sweet Child of Mine.
yeah. There was so many
It's like,
songs,
bro,
so many songs,
yeah.
and then you got they did that like double album after that, the
Mm-hmm.
Illusions.
Yep.
It's beautiful. What the fuck was it called? But it
I'll
had
look it.
like November Rain on that
Oh,
song.
November Rain was such a banger.
Yeah, but so like they were them and Metallica, I think came
Use Your Illusion 1 and 2.
usually. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
And but then, but I think I want to say, when did that drop? When did you?
Use Your 91. So
So
you would have, yeah.
so that was the same time. I was just gonna say that when music, I started getting my own taste,
Mm-hmm.
and that was when I started hearing hip hop, and some of the earliest memories of that shit were like probably shit. I mean, NWA was one of them, but damn, it was who was like even before them, man. I feel
Like
like it was
Jazzy Jeff and them.
I remember Jazzy
Yeah.
Jeff,
Fat
like,
Boys,
yeah, yeah,
Run DMC,
yeah,
Beastie
Beastie,
Boys.
Run
Yeah.
DMC, LL,
Yeah. LL. Yeah.
like
Rakim.
I was just gonna say
Yeah.
Rakim. There was some noise starting to get made. I think fucking, I want to say Naughty by Nature even was like,
Yeah. It's about that time.
they were
Yep.
like real early, and then you had the um no, that's a little later when you get into like early, like 93, 94. But like that, by that time, 92, 93, 94, I was just completely rap. Like that
Yep.
was all I wanted to hear. I was just,
What are
that
you like
was,
12, 13 around that time?
yeah, and
Yeah.
that was
Yep.
my music. Like that was,
Yep.
but I still fucked with some of the shit that my brother would play,
Yeah.
and vice versa, kind of like I put my brother on the pop, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And,
Yeah.
and like he put me on to like Metallica and
Yeah.
shit, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? So it was cool. But yeah, so
Okay, that's a good segue too. So 91 is when you started really 91, 92 is when you started listening to rap, where you started really liking it,
mhm.
and then you fell in love with it and basically started diving into. So what was some of the, like you said, you put your brother on the pot. Was he one of the, like some of your favorite artists once you was around that time frame, maybe a few years later, that maybe, especially being from Chicago area and so much talent there as far as like the chop rap, like your Twistas and your Crucial
Twisted, yeah.
Conflict and stuff like that. Was that stuff you ever got into as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I I would say it was East. Well, man, nah. It was actually like NWA was probably the first like biggest rap influence on me. Like
Mm-hmm.
NWA, man, something about Cube and Easy.
Oh yeah, dude.
Dude, them two, bro. Like Dre was cool. Dre was definitely a huge part of that for sure. But like Cube was just something about the way Cube just, his style was so, I don't know, man. It was dope. And then yeah, then you got into the East Coast, I think was, Nas.
Oh yeah.
Nas was,
Illmatic was around that
oh my
time.
gosh,
Yeah, dude.
Illmatic. Um and then
Early Jay Z, like
yeah,
early,
and you
early.
had super early, like before he
Yeah.
even dropped the albums and shit,
Yeah.
like
And of course,
mixtape
yeah,
shit.
yeah. Biggie was 94,
Yep.
94 time frame, Life After Death.
Yep. And but after,
Ready to Die. I'm sorry.
after they dropped, after like it took me to, I would say honestly, and I could be a little off on the timing. Maybe Conflict was actually before, and Do or Die. I think Do or Die and Conflict.
Do or Die. God,
They
I keep
might have been
forgetting. Yeah.
before Twister, but
Yeah.
like Twister was like doing shit way back when he went
He
by
was
like
tongue
Twister.
twister. Yeah, bro.
Yeah,
I
so he
remember
was
Twister being like 96-ish.
96 was Adrenaline Rush.
Yeah.
That's what I was
That.
saying. That
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
when it was like it's over.
Yeah.
He's the fucking king of Chicago.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's it. And to this, I would argue the only person that could probably in hip hop take that is Ye. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but like, I love Ye. I love his music. I love him as an individual, bro. Like I think what he's just done for hip hop and just the world, kind of in
Yeah.
general. Like, you know, he's a fucking genius, man. Like, and in so many different ways. But my point was like, I don't even really think, and maybe it's because he's outgrown it, not because he ever, pun intended, shied away from it. You know,
Yeah.
I don't think he's, if anything, he's repped Chicago to the fullest. I'm fucking wearing Chicago. It's funny.
Hell yeah, dude.
Like he's repped it to the fullest, bro. But he just became an icon. He's a fucking world. Like I don't. He's a world symbol. I don't even
100%.
think of Chicago when I think of him. Twister.
He's exceeded that.
Yeah, Twister, I still think, even though he's definitely outgrown it too in a way, like he you know, I don't think he's ever wanted to be fair. Like
Right,
I think
he's
Twister's more like,
yeah.
I like where I'm at, I'm good. I'm, you know, he seems like a really humble dude. I met him a handful of times, you know, just quick, nothing crazy, but just quick convos and shit. But he's always come across super chill, super humble, and I think he just wants to, you know, live his life comfortably and make music. And I don't think he wants to be all, and I get it, man, because dude, there's a lot of crazy shit.
I couldn't imagine being Kanye West, bro. like no wonder. Like, so I just looked it up, bro. So 1996, Twista Adrenaline Rush, right?
Yeah.
Crucial Conflict, The Final Tick was 96.
Was 96 too?
And Do or Die, Picture This was all in the same year.
Great year for Chicago.
That's insane,
Great
dude.
Year for Chicago.
3 of the most iconic rap albums dropped this. And you got to think too, man, that's around that same time Bone Thugs dropped East 1999. You know what I'm saying?
They dropped that early. Yeah, I think it might even been earlier, dog, like 93 or something.
They dropped Creeping on a Come Up in 94, I think.
Oh, is that what it was?
East 1999 Eternal, which is, oh god, it's one of the greatest albums ever too, bro.
Creeping on a Come Up was 94, you said?
Yeah, but they did the Faces of Death in 93. That's what they were.
Death,
yeah, 95 was East 1999, but like
what about 3-6, bro? I forgot all about, when the fuck did they drop?
That was like early, like 93, 94. They were doing underground tapes like in the late 80s, early 90s, like the tapes. But man, that's a crazy year for Chicago rap, because that's 3 of the best rap albums ever.
Jay's Reasonable Doubt dropped 96.
Yeah, too. Dude. 96 was a crazy
94
crazy
and 96 were, I mean, and you could keep going probably. I'm
you
sure.
You could do a whole episode just on
94
and 96, like, because you got to think, bro.
94 has, like, if you Google that and look, bro, there's so many in 94. It's
same with movies, bro. We on our movie podcast, there's an insane amount of fire ass movies that dropped in 94. Mostly like comedies, but like another 96, All Eyes on Me, Tupac.
Oh shit. Shout out to 94 and 96.
You know what I'm saying, dude? But yeah.
Back, bro.
Right. So, and then of course a couple of years before that, that's when you had Doggy Style was 93, 92, 93. Mm-hmm. Chronic was 92.
Chronic, yep.
You know what I mean? So
shit, I forgot all about the Chronic.
Yeah. So like, now that we've spoken about that, let's speak about, when did you feel like rap was something you wanted to try and do?
The Message, Nas.
Okay.
I heard that song. I was a huge Nas fan.
Yep.
Heard The Message on that, you know, so when that, I was looking forward to it, is my point. I was a huge Nas fan after Illmatic.
Yep.
Second album's, you know, coming, everybody's waiting, and he dropped that shit. And
it was written.
It was written.
96, bro.
And I take the yeah, it's crazy.
Go ahead.
No, and hey, that's why Jay Reasonable Doubt was so slept on.
Yeah.
That's why that album was so slept on. Like single-handedly why. Man. And to be fair, bro, I would say, and Nas is always gonna be like if you do the Nas J debate with me, it's always gonna be like I will always favor Nas because of his influence on me and because I feel like I like him more as a person probably, and I would probably like if it was like who do you want to be friends with type shit, I
Oh
would probably
yeah,
want to
yeah,
be friends with him. But that album, that Reasonable Doubt album,
yeah,
it shouldn't have got slept on the way it did if it was just simply because of Nas's competition on It Was Written. Although It Was Written is a beautiful album, it just it's crazy how the hype of people being so excited
yeah.
kind of trumped that shit pretty crazy. But yeah, anyway, I remember being excited and taking a rapper, I'm putting that bitch in, and we were just riding around, me and my homie. I couldn't even drive yet, so we were in my homie's car, and just fucking doom 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 doom
Bro.
doom, and that shit came on, bro, and something took over me, dog. Like something literally was just like, I was like, yo, this is, I want to do this shit. You
Yeah.
know what I
And you had
mean?
never had any thoughts about wanting to actually do it yourself up until this point?
I've I never I would freestyle
Yeah.
a little bit, like, and that was it. It was just like, but it wasn't. That was when, no, I had thoughts. That was when it was like, I'm gonna fucking do it. Like
Got you.
I
Okay. That's when the
felt like
switch.
the
Yeah.
switch flipped to
Yeah.
me. Like, yo, this is what I'm supposed to
Right.
do. This feels like what I'm supposed to be doing. Like something about the way when he was rapping, and in my head, I'm like, that beat felt like home. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
felt
Yeah.
like home. I was like, yo, I could do this. I could do
Yeah.
what he's doing. So yeah,
That's crazy. Yeah.
you know,
It Was Written was a great album.
album.
Nas the Message, that's what made you want to start rapping.
Yeah.
And then did that start with you trying to write raps, or was you just
Nah.
okay?
No, I didn't even start right. The first rap I ever wrote was when I was 16, and it was a poem, man. And I was literally, which a lot of people still to this fucking day. It's funny how bad of a like stigma to this day rap has. Like I get it, like gangster rap was kind of what I, but it's like it's funny because you're talking about 30 years ago,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
people are still like, like it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
dude, every genre has like all different styles of it, and it's just some. It's funny some people have like such a negative stigma about rap still to this day when there's like whole Christian, literally like
Yeah.
a Chris. There's a like, what do you want? You want that? You go get like, what are you talking
Yeah.
about? But even like I was gonna say like conscious. There's so much rap that ain't like shoot 'em up, bang bang all the time and shit. It's just crazy. But you know, a lot of people don't even know the rhythm and poetry. You know, like R.I.P.
Yep.
rhythm and poetry and
Yep.
poetry. Like I just do. I was fucking 16 years old. I was laying in my bed and just fucking we were talking about, my father and how much shit I'm not sure kind of I got passed down or whatever.
Yeah.
But my father ended up taking his life, at least from the way it looks.
Oh,
They
gotcha.
found him in
Okay.
a garage, car running, but he was on the floor in the garage. So it's kind of a little
Oh, like
sketch.
maybe he thought about it,
He
or yeah,
tried to get out, and
maybe.
I don't
Yeah.
know. It was so, but he had made, I guess we call it threats or whatever you want to call it, of it in the past and stuff. So the consensus is that's what he did. Like he took his life. But point is, like, he struggled with that stuff. And when I was 16, I remember, man, I was clear as day. I was in my house, in my bedroom, laying there, and I was just like, man, I was to the point where I knew, like, I was like suicidal, I guess you could say it, dog. But like,
Yeah.
I didn't know why, bro. And that was like the worst thing, because it wasn't like I had this horrible fucking life. It wasn't like, a kid at that age, like, what could be horrible in your life? I don't know, a broken home, or, your parents are fucking abusive, or,
Yeah.
I mean, there's certain shit that like could really make a childhood fucked up for the most part, except for those kind of early years that were, probably not the best. But like, my mother's a good mother, loves me. My stepfather was a good dude, stand up
Yeah.
and stepped in, and I had no issues with him. He was always treating me like I was his child. He never,
Yeah.
treating me like a second class kid of his or some shit.
Yeah.
So I couldn't put my finger on why the fuck I was so like depressed and whatever and angry, like
Mm-hmm.
I said, man. But I was just, and it was all bottled up. And I just grabbed this little, I remember, bro, I like rolled over and there was this little notebook on the side of my bed with a red Sharpie, and I just scribbled this shit. Like, I don't know, it was just fucking just pouring out of me, man. And when I was done, the last line of it, I said, I don't know what to do, or what I need. I guess I'll know when I'm not a seed. And or this is just something to let you know that we all bleed. I don't know what to do, or what I need. I guess I'll know when I'm not a seed. And
Mm-hmm.
ever since then, it's like crazy, because that was like literally like the seed, that started my pen, bro. Basically, man. And
Yeah.
when I was done, I felt relief. You know what I
Right.
mean? It wasn't like all my problems magically just disappeared, but I remember that feeling. And actually, I never wrote again until like a year later. I went to this boot camp for like getting in some trouble as a juvenile and shit, and I was in there, and that's when I wrote this song called "Passing Time."
Mm-hmm.
Like with some other people that were in there with me, and I just wrote a verse for it, and this was like '98, and so I wrote that verse I think like '97, '96,
Mm-hmm.
and I was 16, so it probably was '97, and so I wrote that, and then after '98 when I wrote that, and people were like really like, damn, what the fuck, because it kind
Yeah.
of had that Chicago influence style. I was kind of
Mm-hmm.
rap,
Chopping a little
it
bit.
kind of had a
Yeah.
chop, and people were looking at me like, what the fuck, because it was uh very rare for like a white dude to be rapping. You got
Yeah.
Eminem and all these guys, none of them were in the game yet. M wasn't in the game, Bubba, like it was right before they hit, and obviously there was, a few that had already had careers, House of Pain and,
Yeah.
Beastie Boys, the
Vanilla
Vanilla Ice.
Ice. Yeah.
Nobody
Right.
really likes to mention him because he kind of is like poppy or what, I don't know what you
Right.
call it,
Right. Right.
I mean, for his time, bro, he wasn't whack. You know what I mean? People
No,
be like,
everybody was bumping Vanilla Ice,
yeah,
bro.
everybody could say he was whack or corny or whatever,
Yeah.
but I mean, for his time, man. You'd have to say like so was MC Hammer then and some other dudes that were doing the same shit, but I think it
Yeah.
was really just you know. But anyways, that's when I came home from that because of the way people really embraced me there, and it wasn't anybody I knew. It was all people that didn't know me growing up or nothing, dog. They was
Yeah.
it's all. I mean,
So it wasn't just your friends saying, "Oh, this is dope." Yeah.
yeah, it wasn't
Yeah.
nobody co-signing. It was like these were people that were fucking didn't know me, could straight just tell me, dude, you're trash. You know what I mean? What the
Mm-hmm.
fuck are you doing? And
Yeah.
I got the opposite in return. So it kind of once that was I would say the final kind of thing that really, when I got home from there, my pen just went crazy, man. And that's when I really started writing, like just and haven't stopped really ever
Yeah.
since. Uh,
Yeah. It's dope too, man. That if you're getting those kind of cosigns from people that you don't know, that's kind of more solidifying, I would think, because it's like, well, these people don't know me to lie to me if it's not. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Or just being nice to me like some of my friends may do.
right.
So when you did that, how long was it before you started to create like maybe a project or whatever it may have been? You said this was 98, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
shit. I started writing a lot, and I didn't record anything, but I probably had. I mean, I definitely had way more than the album's worth of shit wrote, like
Yeah.
songs, and I would just rap them all the time, and I didn't really know what to do with them. To be honest, man, like I didn't have a studio or nothing like that. I mean, that would obviously have been the move, but um, shit, I was really just kind of. I remember one time I rode my bike far as shit,
Mm-hmm.
trying to go record with this group that had like a studio, and so and that was like late '99, bro, and that was like when I was um like I was trying to like, okay, I gotta do something with this shit. You know what I mean? Like I
Mm-hmm.
gotta do something with this music, and because I don't know. I recorded stuff on little tape recorders and
Oh yeah.
shit. You know, I'd have beats playing, and I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
so I still probably got some of them tapes somewhere, man. But like, you know, I was like, nah, I need to like make a fucking album, and
Mm-hmm.
like I got connected to this dude named Crooked,
Mm-hmm.
and he was part of this group called The Camp, and it was like a almost like a Chicago Wu-Tang thing. Like there was
Yeah.
like fucking 12, 13, whatever, ton of artists and shit. And but I don't even remember how I met this dude, to be honest. But he was super cool, and he was like, yeah, and he told me where the studio was at, and that's when I tried to go there. And I mean, I went there, but like I just like all I remember is getting there, and like it was just being around and enjoying the studio. Like I didn't have no money or nothing to get like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
song recorded, but I was just like there, and
Peeping the environment.
I was like,
Yeah.
yo, this is dope. And but I just I don't know, man. I believe God, you know, had his hand on the path, bro, and for whatever reason that really wasn't the way, cuz I was trying. I mean, you're talking about I rode so where this I remember where the studio was at. It was in Dalton, which is south of Chicago, and where I lived was about 30 minutes in a car, and I rode my bike there.
Oh wow.
And I had to ride on the highway because that was the only way I knew how to even get there. So I literally rode on the shoulder of the highway. And anyone who knows this section of the road, the highway over there, there's actually, I think, it's the biggest rock quarry
Yeah.
in like the country or some shit. And so I'm like riding over, and like literally like a strong truck breeze is gonna like launch me up.
Yeah.
Like I just remember like, and it's cold as shit. I don't remember what part of the year. I mean, it was obviously like close to the winter or whatever, but it's super fucking cold.
And you're in Chicago
And I'm
too.
yeah, and I remember getting there and just I was so whatever, and then I got back outside, and my it was so cold my bike chain had froze, and I couldn't even ride my bike, and I just left it. My grandparents didn't live that far from this house, so I just walked, and it was weird because it was like this, like I was there, but I didn't feel like I felt like love, but like I don't know, it was this weird issue where I was like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then shortly after that, man, is when I actually, you know, ended up finding God and giving my life over to Jesus, and that's, you know, kind of when the table turned. But it's interesting because about 6 months or so after I did that is when me and Adam met,
Okay,
Calhoun,
dope. Yeah, there you go.
and it's funny because we meet, and then he worked with a dude that had a studio in Joliet. And
Mm-hmm.
so after him and I meeting, exchanging some verses back and forth over the phone and kind of whatever, we ended up getting to the studio at some point in Joliet at this guy that he knew's studio,
Is that where he took me that time?
probably
Where he showed the yeah.
on
Yeah.
Gould Street.
Yeah.
And so we went there, and um you know, that was like basically my first. I say the official first recording I think I ever did, which we kind of called official, was actually like I think Six Flags. They had like a studio you
Yeah,
could
yeah.
record in.
Yeah.
I recorded over a Biz Markie beat, like the
Okay. Yeah.
you. Da, da,
Yeah.
da.
Yeah.
That was like, if you want to get like technical, the first,
Right.
but that was, you
That you
know,
could like a legit serious when you would say, yeah.
when it was like a studio,
Mm-hmm.
like and again, the camp, you know, I was ready to do something. I had my backpack and all my raps and shit in it, but it just, I guess what I meant when I left was like, I had all, I was like, man, I'm gonna go there.
Yeah.
And it was just, everybody was like, oh, you rap, that's cool. And like, nobody, I learned
And
like
you rode your bike
I
through
rode
it.
my bike for
Yeah.
like forever to get there. And then I
Yeah.
get out and the bitch is frozen, my chain's frozen.
And they're like, hey, what's up, man? Cool, you
They're
rap, cool
like, all right,
story.
man, we gonna leave in our Escalades and our fucking caddies and shit. And I was just like,
You're on your bike with a frozen chain.
I'm like, oh, so all right, I see what it is. You know what I mean? Like it was
Yeah.
like the cold, pun intended, harsh reality of like the
Yeah.
game. You know what I mean? And like no favors and no what, which is cool, whatever, you know. But God, I had met Twista like recently before that, and I really think God. And this ain't no shade on nobody to the camp or Twista or any of them, but I think God was like, that ain't the lane I'm trying to take you down. You know what I mean? Because,
Mm-hmm.
I got a different style, a different sound, a different, you know, element you're gonna bring to the game. And I feel like I was so young. I was only fucking 18, bro. I was so young and so like, engulfed in that shit. I would
Yeah.
have probably ended up becoming like, not that you can't change styles along the way or whatever, but I would have probably got shaped and molded into just being a street Chicago
Yeah.
fast rapping,
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever. Because that's, I'm white, so I gotta prove I can do this shit for real, So I gotta rap fast. That's the back, especially in Chicago, right? Like, and I think it actually helped that it didn't go that direction, and that me and Adam actually linked up, and because me and him really together when we did a lot of our stuff, like that's what I liked about it. There was a lot of dudes that I grew up around that all rapped and we'd all freestyle and shit, but I liked that he was like talking about just normal shit in his life,
Yeah.
and it was like, yeah, I like that, because that's what I did. A lot of guys, they wanted to super flex and super thug it and all that, and it was just kind of like, I don't know. They kind of just regurgitated what they heard instead of like
Yeah.
spitting their life. Because if you're a super thug, okay, cool, you know what I mean, or you're that. But it's like, I mean, it just got kind of like, all right, we get it, bro. Like, you're not even old enough to drive. Why are you talking about like cars and shit or
Right.
whatever?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, um,
So y'all kept you and Adam linked up, and then y'all started. Did y'all start working like on music, a bunch of music together?
yeah, that's what you would ask. We recorded a bunch of stuff, and we made like a little EP, I guess you would call it,
Yeah.
and then so yeah, um,
And then you said there was a phase. I know we spoke about this before. There was a was it something about like y'all started doing battle? Y'all started battling and stuff.
battling. Yeah, it was really kind of just a natural progress, man. Like, we started going to open mics, and then a lot of the open mics back then would have contests, and so we'd get in the contest, and sometimes it was just a song contest, and then other times it was like a battle contest. We just tried to do whatever we could, like whatever we could get our hands on, you know what I mean, to be
Mm-hmm.
doing something. And half the time we weren't even old enough to get into the fucking clubs and shit. We were still
Yeah.
not even 21 years old yet. But so we'd have to get like the special you can't drink fucking thing or whatever, like,
Yeah.
it's funny, man. It's been a long road, bro.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was cool, man. We did a lot of those events, and then it just became, I think the biggest thing is you really have to, it's such a process, man, and you really have to like to have a career in this shit and do it for a long term longevity. I think anybody with talent can probably fuck around and get lucky, basically, is my
Yeah.
point. But if you really want to do this forever, you know what I mean? Like, until, like, perfect example, someone just shared Nas's new song he dropped like 12 days ago or whatever, In My Thoughts, I think it's called, or whatever. Like, that motherfucker is literally the same dude
Yep.
30 years later, and he's still, and it's because, he found himself, he found his
Mm-hmm.
sound, he found his style, and
And he's got a support system for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he'll always have that
Yeah.
until he could be rapping until he's 100 years old, and there'll
Yeah.
be people lined up waiting for
Yeah.
that Nas drop, and so that's something that you got to learn. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And there, that I had to go through so many different, whatever you call it, phases of me, dog. You know what I mean? As a person, and more so as an artist. I mean, and like, because it's like I was just a judge. It's crazy how full circle this shit comes. Because like a few days ago, I was just a judge on a contest for an online contest that one of my homies is hosting, and he just called me the day before, like, yo, we're in like Sweet 16 bracket, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just a song against a song, right? Two
Yeah.
artists,
Yeah. Battle. Yeah.
and I said, cool, he's like, you want to, and I was like, yeah. And I literally, me and this other artist were the judges. And then if we disagreed, like where it was a split, then the chat would like vote on it. So it was crazy to be like sitting on that side of it,
Yeah.
because I'm over here giving like, well,
critique.
You
Yeah.
kind of let the hook go a little too much on it. And the one that made me think of that was the rap shit. And I was like, look, um, it's a dope song, but you got way too like rappy about like talking about certain shit that I'm gonna tell you right now, if you're trying to make like a career, rappers are not gonna buy your shit. You know what I mean? And even if they are, you have, you know what I mean, rappers make up maybe such a tiny percentage of the rest of the
of the
world.
actual like
That's
consumer.
yeah. And I just told, I was like, I'm not saying like you can never mention on the mic or this or whatever, but like I'm telling you, like almost nobody cares. You know what I mean? And it's not even a shitty way. It's just you lose people. And if you want to, that's kind of what my point was on his songs. Like if you want to keep people's interest, I think that's what it was. I said, yo, the first verse, like I was listening to everything you said. Then the hook came in, he da da da, and I was like, part of the hook where he's like, da 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 on the mic, and so, and I was just, I kind of started to tip off a little bit, and I'm a rapper, and I start, so I said, just a tip, man. But it's funny, like I would, bring it back what I was saying. It's just I had to experience that shit. I had to be the battle rapper that's like, you understand? I'm writing all these battle bars, and nobody gives a shit, dog. Like, you know what I mean? They're like, talk about love, bro, because I understand that. Talk about pain, because I understand that. Talk about, my life. I understand that. And even to the point where we kind of had, me and Adam, we had this guy named Yancey who was um, like kind of a manager. We didn't like sign with him, but he was like standing in that role, if you would. And he was the guy that ended up bringing us to all the labels and shit. He probably told you a little bit about that. But we met with all the labels and all that shit for like years, like almost 5 years in a row. Just every year, first quarter, we're like down in New York, meeting with all the whatever. But it's funny because the camp that I was talking about earlier, they're in Dalton. The producer that Yancey introduced, actually, I met Yancey through this producer, but the way that producer, he was from Dalton too. So it's crazy how like less than a year later, I go to the studio and I get, love, but like, no, whatever. I had like, it wasn't the right fit. Literally like right down the fucking street, basically. I end up going to this other guy who's Big O, Orlando. It's just crazy how that all ended up. Actually, at the time, his house wasn't in Dalton. He was actually on the west side of Chicago. I remember the first time I went to his place because he just heard me and never seen me, and so and it wasn't social media and all that shit. And I pulled up and I go around the back and he opens the door. He's like, Mesus? Or not Mesus. He's like, absolute. And he he literally looked at me like, all right, man, shit, come on in. But like he was like, damn, he was not expecting me. Like he thought, I guess he thought I was black or whatever. But it was funny, man.
What was your first rap name?
Absolute.
So Absolute's what she was going by back then.
Yeah, dude, I've gone. That's
right. That's
on the seasons. Yeah, Absolute was at that point.
What time frame was this? Like mid 2000s?
That was 2000.
Oh, okay. So that was early on. Okay.
Yeah, that was. Me and Adam went to the studio. We hung out there quite a bit, like handful of songs or whatever, probably whatever. And then one time, Adam was he was like not feeling good, and I ended up going to the studio, and I met this rapper named Spider-Man.
Hell yeah!
You heard some of his shit?
No, just a rapper named Spider-Man's pretty.
Oh, he's
pretty
a beast.
dope.
I'll show you some of his shit, dog. But he I met him and we kind of rapped, exchanged some bars and shit, and he was like, damn, what the fuck? And then he played one of these songs, and I said, who the fuck made that beat? And he said, oh, that's my guy O. And then that's how I met Big O.
Big O, yeah.
Called him and linked up with him. But yeah, that was literally then. But I mean, yeah, the fast forward past a lot of that, it was really just making music, man, and going to these contests and going to labels and labels saying you're not ready or whatever, and you're good, but you're not ready, which is, I mean, that's fine. They were right, And I mean, it's funny because you walk away, leave, I'll fucking show you, you know what I mean? Because you're like, I'm ready, but like.
Adam told me about the time that I don't know if he was with him then when they went about the Rough Riders.
Rough Riders, yeah. I remember that shit.
He was talking about how when he went, I guess Was it y'all took a demo into somewhere label and they just skimmed right through it and was like, no, or basically
They fucking A&R'd the fuck out of us so many times, bro. And you know, again, going back to what we were saying earlier, and anybody who's probably know who I am, you probably know Adam too. Like, I mean, we had fucking temper, dog. Like, we were not happy about that shit because it's like, how the fuck? Like, we put our whole life in this shit, and
that's what he said.
You play 5 seconds and go to the next song. We were mad, dog. Like, but Yancey, God sends people, bro, and Yancey just was that. He was that glue that I think kept us. I mean, first of all, he was the reason we were even standing in front of these people because he was the business guy that had all these connections with these people in the first place. But the point is, like, he'd be like, "It's all right. It's all right, guys. It's just part of the pride." He fucking talk us off the cliff. We're like ready to go, like wait for him outside in the parking lot.
Yeah, like you said, we were gonna get a record deal.
Yeah. We're gonna get this deal one way or the other, bro. But yeah.
So y'all just kept pushing along. And was y'all just dropping? Obviously, this was before streaming.
Yeah.
But how many projects would you say you dropped before the first one that we're about to get to that's on streaming?
I dropped an album in 2008 called The First Cause. Adam's on it. You will not find it anywhere. but I do, and I do want to put it back out though. I really do. That's my biggest regret. I'd rather look back at a catalog that I just I'm like, ugh. I would rather, and at least it be there.
Yep.
Because that's the one thing that I missed. I sat on so much shit. I never really, and there was no reason, bro. There was no reason other than me getting in my own head about a reason that I couldn't do it, dog. And not couldn't do it, like I talked myself out of putting the shit out. But anyway, I did eventually at least drop that one in 2008. And then in 2013, I put out another one called On the Rock because I got real serious about my walk with God. And I was working with this artist called Ice, Ice Tracks Productions. And it was Absolute and Ice Tracks. So we were going to call it On the Rocks. And we were working on one forever. And then in the process of that, I said, yo, I want to call it On the Rock because I feel like it's, like the Bible says, the wise man builds his house on the firm foundation on the rock. So it was just kind of something I wanted to do. So I put that together, and I did technically release it, but I didn't really push it too hard. And then 2014, I put out Victory Music, which was the first digital release I ever put out.
Right. That's when digital was newer.
That's when Twista, I had Twista on that project. And
fire, bro.
Yeah, that was cool, man. I still got that song. But I put it up through TuneCore, and then like after a year you gotta
renew.
I didn't renew it. And but again, I didn't know at all what I was doing, how to promote it, whatever. And I'd say from like 2014, well, really just from 98, bro. Like that's why actually on this album, perfect way to get into it. The last song on 24/7, the one that first project I dropped under Mesus and that is still out there and whatever you can find is the last song. It's called 98, and it was really because it's just like since 98 I've been doing this. I've been writing, I've been recording, I've been whatever. I just never really, for whatever reason, either put something out or stuck with it and left it there. So.
And so 24/7 dropped in 2019.
Yep.
And that's when you were officially Mesus. This is available from here on up. Everything that we talk about is available.
Yep.
Do you want to kind of speak about that album in the sense of what brought it together? Did it take you a long time to record it? Was it old songs you had, and then you just put them out?
It was like kind of a collective of pretty much that. It's more, honestly, when I look at that album, it's more like a mixtape than an album.
Gotcha. Okay.
It was really kind of just that, It was I had a fuck enough. I have to put something out. You know what I mean? Like I have to stop overthinking shit. Because I put a couple songs out at this point on YouTube and shit, videos that had caught, and people are like, "Yo, what the fuck? Why don't you?"
Okay, so you wanted to follow that up.
And
I
I
got
was
you.
like, "All right." And that was in like 2018. I
Mm-hmm.
dropped 2 songs back to back in September. I dropped a spoken word called Free Pression, which did really well, and um, I dropped another song called Rap Jesus. And
Yeah,
it was a remix to the MGK Eminem battle, the
yeah.
MGK Kill Shot, all that
Rap
shit,
Devil or whatever.
Rap Devil Kill
Yeah.
Shot. So I used both tracks, and I'd actually wrote a song called F Bombs to it because remember I said overthinking, and one of
Mm-hmm.
the biggest thing I would say that really prevented me was like, as a man of God, as a Christian man, I was always like, what do you want me to do? What is the right thing to do with this music? Is it just therapy? Is it just for me? Is it just so I can get through life and not go crazy? But
Yeah,
or do you not want me to put it
yeah,
out? You know what
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying? And that was one of the biggest that always kept me. And I said, I again, I mean, people that know me well, know me close, like so many discussions about this, so many
Mm-hmm.
conversations, and people would tell me like, put it out, just put it out. And finally, I just got to the point. That's where I wrote the joint F bombs because I was just like, whatever, man. Because then there was the okay, if I rap, should it be clean? Should it not be
Yeah,
clean? What it should I just be a Christian rap or whatever,
yeah,
And F bombs is just like exactly what it sounds like. And so I was like, I'm dropping this, and this it ain't never gonna be like worse than this song, as far as that
mm-hmm.
the language thing goes. And I was just like, if people rock with this, then they gonna rock with me forever. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And if they don't rock with me, then I kind of just put the line in the sand, like then maybe I'm not your cup of tea or whatever.
Right,
You know what I'm
right, yeah,
saying? So I did, and I was always cool with that because I'm not the guy that's like, no, everybody has to love every fucking
right,
song I make. But it was like, God, like I gave you this gift for a certain reason, type of thing. Don't mismanage it. That
yeah,
was what
yeah,
it was, and it was always like, but it got to a point where I was like, nothing is worse than
yeah,
there's a parable about the talents, parable of talents, and God giving one person this many one talent, and then another 2 talents, and then another 5 talents, and basically saying like, he was pissed off at the one that buried his talent.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You didn't utilize what
You
I
didn't even
give
use
you,
it,
gave you.
and
Yeah,
gave it. So I was like, what? I'd rather use it, and God be like, yo, you didn't do it
mm,
all the way I wanted you to. Shocker, we're not perfect anyway, but you know what I'm
right.
saying?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
at least you didn't just bury the shit,
right. At least you didn't give it. Yeah, just leave it alone.
So yeah, that
And
was that was it.
and at that point too, had you had any features on Adam stuff at that point that was already circulating, or was that around the same time?
So not I keep saying want to say 90. 2018 September I did that, and then
I want to say you were featured on one of Adam's
I
early
was
albums.
I
Yeah, yeah,
was so at well I was on actually I was on Americal
yeah, yeah.
under Cosetti, and that was a song called Sunset
Yep.
that was like originally my song, and then um we decided to remix it basically, and we
Yeah, you right. Okay, yeah, yeah.
yep.
That was 2018. That
y-
was Cassetti. Okay,
Yep,
got you.
but nobody really knew, Cosetti because that was
Right.
just my government name. So,
Yeah, yeah,
um, and Rap Jesus was also like where the lot like the like I'm gonna go by Mesus. So like that was the
right.
first, and it made sense like Rap Jesus, Mesus, like
Yeah.
which means Jesus in me.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just like you know, so the second album Adam put out, Throne.
Yep.
Um, Again, actually, Dying was like a song that um I had and he had heard, and he was like, "Yo, that's dope. We should like do like do like a remix or something to it."
Yeah.
And that's we ended up doing that. He originally actually wanted that on Americal, and I kind of was like hesitant towards it because I didn't feel like it fit the project, to be honest. Like I felt like it
Right.
was a very different sound than what the project was,
Mm-hmm.
but also like um I was kind of like wanting to hang on to it to drop it as a single
Yeah.
off of like my own project. So it was like kind of double reason why I didn't want to. But then, yeah, I think we dropped the video for that in like January. 2019, and then
Yep.
I really didn't do much other than like for my own stuff. Like we just Adam was touring a lot, and I was out on tour with him and stuff,
Yeah.
and so I kind of was just writing. Like
Yep.
I've just never put the pen down, bro. Like ever. Like
Yeah.
literally just fucking never. You know. So when I say I wasn't doing much, that's a given. Like I'm just
Right.
always
Writing's
doing that
just
shit.
part of it.
Always writing. Always recording. Stacking up songs and I remember when Adam and Demon were on tour, and Demon heard some of my shit because none of it's online. They heard like Rap
Yeah.
G's, they heard it. But like I said, anybody can, Sunshine's on a Dog's Ass, right? Like, okay, cool, you got like one song, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But because Demon, shout out to Demon, he's a fucking OG in this shit. So it's like it's gonna take a lot to impress somebody like that,
He's been around the block. Yeah.
Yeah. So he knew I could rap and shit. But I remember a specific time we were on the bus. I don't remember where the fuck we were going, or just on the bus, and and he started. I see like he's like, how many songs you got? I said like, I don't know, like a couple hundred. He's like, why and they ain't out? Why ain't you put it? And he started listening to a couple. What the hell you doing? He's like getting mad. He's like, what are you doing? And that and then like I said, having a couple fans of the few songs that were out, and then of course just like my old head fans that heard my CDs and shit. They're like, dog, when you gonna? And so that's where 24/7 came from, man. That one.
And then so we fast forward to smack dab in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah.
You dropped "Fuck You," the album, July 28th.
Yeah.
2020 during COVID. And this one has a lot of your most popular songs on it, right?
Yeah.
Is this when you would you say this album is when things started to boom?
Yeah.
Because it's during the pandemic where a lot more ears and eyes are on content creators because there's nothing to do, nowhere to go, can't work. Which is crazy. That was 4 years ago. But speak a little bit about this album as far as like the process of that. Was it another thing where some of those 200 songs you had that you just took a batch and put it out, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, for the most part, those were all pretty new, man. It's I'm gonna look at my I just made a post about it, so it's funny. So Once Upon a Time. Yeah. Once Upon a Time was probably that one in Hollywood. Those are like the two oldest songs on that project. Once Upon a Time, and that wasn't even that old. Once Upon a Time I wrote in like 2018 when we were on the road. And tour. And Hollywood I wrote probably around a similar time, something maybe a little bit, because I used to live out in Cali for a while, and I feel like I might have wrote it out there just because it sounds like, but I don't. But
everything else
was off scratch, like 2020. Wrote that shit in 2020.
Which makes sense because some of the songs on that album is dealing with what's going on.
Almost all of it, dog. You know what I mean? Like
like News for sure.
News.
Never ever watched shit. Yeah, like
Gates of Hell. Yeah. We talking about the shot. Our Father was real, like talking about kind of like fatherless homes, and there was a lot of that, like the BLM shit was happening all that time, George Floyd and all that, and there was a lot of and I was trying to point it back to what I believe is ultimately the biggest problem with society, man, in general, man, is fatherlessness in homes, man. Like, you get
across the board, regardless.
It don't matter what race you are or whatever, man. You disrupt civilization as a whole is just literally a shit ton of families. That's literally what the whole fucking population of the planet is, just people, and people are families, and once you start fucking those up, you know what I mean, then it's just common. The next step naturally in the process is society is going to get fucked up. You know what I mean? So it's not rocket science, man, to me, So,
and dude, with the success of that one, and like you barely waited a month and dropped a Racism, right? So like, speak about like we can just go right into a Racism because it's all. I mean, I'm gonna say it's two different projects, but with them being a month apart, you can almost do like no, you're good. With them being a month apart, it's almost like those two projects could be, they kind of coincide with what's, as far as topics and
Facts.
yeah.
Yeah. No, and the funny shit is that actually had not many, but like Nightmerica. I remember I wrote that in 2015. Double Standard was like 2017, 18. Food for Thought was 2017.
Yeah.
Gracism was like 2015.
So some of these were tucked.
These
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
were these were, and again, it Guest was the that first single that really popped. Like I would say, went viral for me.
Yeah.
And Guest was an album joint on this project, this Eracism project that I was working on. And that was another reason why I would sit on shit for so long, because I get an album name and then there's songs, and I don't give a fuck if it's the greatest song I ever made in my life as far as whatever, because most people be like, yo, that's got to go now. What are you doing? Why are you waiting? Why are you sitting? You know? And in my head, I'm like, but it's going on this album. This album ain't done, so it's got to wait. And so that, once Guess hit late 2019, when that shit hit, I just started, and really what I was trying to do was I was just throwing songs out at that point. And I'm dropping songs and dropping songs.
That's the Nick Cannon disc, right?
Yep. Yeah. I'm dropping songs, and all this shit's like, momentum's really growing on the internet. I'm starting to grow on my social media. I'm starting to grow on my Spotify, like whatever, like people are interested, they want to hear it. But I was like, okay, I wish I would have put an album out earlier, man. You know what I mean? I wish I would have put an album out in like March of 2020, and it should have been honestly this one, Eracism. But it's just like woulda, coulda, shoulda. But my point is, like, that's why you get so many, projects back to back to back, like
making up for lost
time. At that time, as I was trying to like, shit, here's all the stuff, guys, that I've been dropping, but in hindsight, I definitely regretted doing it that way, because I felt like a lot of music got slapped on. I feel like it was too much, too quick, and I also feel like people don't appreciate it as much, bro. I mean, I'm not saying there's a fine amount of balance there, and 3 albums in 3 months, which we didn't get into the last one, but
Dear Rap, which was like a month later.
Yeah. Literally a month. And I was gonna drop, because I had so much shit. My plan originally, when I finally dropped that, I said I'm gonna drop an album every month until I'm out of shit. That's what I said I was gonna do. And I had so much shit, I could have did it for like a year straight, dog. Like, I mean, I literally had that much shit stacked up. But after I remember at the end of November, or excuse me, the end of October, so beginning of like November, after Dear Rap, I remember like reading a comment somewhere, and somebody was like, when you gonna drop some new stuff?
And it's like, what?
And I was like, oh, I'm doing shit wrong, bro. I'm doing whatever I'm doing, I think I got.
That was like the silver lining. Like, that comment was like,
I was like, damn, man, I'm putting out so much work and people just like, it ain't enough. And that's when I realized I gotta take it back a notch and figure out what, But yeah, that was definitely when shit started to go, bro, for sure.
So before we move forward to 2021, let's speak about the Nick Cannon situation. Like, speak about how that we spoke about it on the pod as well. But kind of speak about that situation, because I know that is what I mean. It was like almost overnight the thing went crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
From what she was telling me and Squins.
Yeah, it was, bro. It was definitely overnight. Like,
because that's when Nick Cannon was coming out saying white people are. It was when he was going back and forth with Eminem.
He was going back and forth with M, and really, to give some kind of insight behind that from his people's, own mouth and shit that I spoke with about that since the situation happened, it was more like he really just wanted to fight him. And so it's kind of like that when two people are about to fight and there's really just nothing off the table as far as what the fuck you're going to say to somebody to try to get them to swing or whatever, and that was really, people that knew him, that know him, Nick, they're like, that he ain't a racist dude, like, whatever. So anyway, but yeah, he said what he said, and it was kind of just an alley oop for me to drop Guest, bro. Is all it really was. Like
Right.
the internet, I mean, shit was going viral from the song he dropped. I already had Guest sitting there, and Guest was there because he had called, white people guests in hip hop.
Yeah.
That was only a few months earlier on Vlad TV.
Yep.
And I
I
said,
remember that.
I was like, the
Yeah.
fuck? And the only reason I watched it was because I fucked with Nick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was actually a few, because Vlad will chop it up into different.
Oh yeah.
And so it wasn't even what I clicked on. I clicked on something that had to do with spirituality and the music business or something. And I was like, oh, and I was watching it while I was getting a song mixed. And then one led to the next, and it was like the third one, I think. And I was like, oh no, and that's when I wrote Guest. And
Yep.
again, it wasn't even, to me, it wasn't like, oh, this is gonna be my biggest shit.
Right.
I wrote it in just a response, because just like everything else I write, man, it's like when I process something and it makes me feel some type of way, I'm gonna fucking.
Yep.
I didn't think at all that song. I mean, I liked it. I thought it was a good song and shit, but I mean, looking at the album, if let's say Nick never opened his mouth about that shit, but like let's say that I ended up launching this album in the beginning of 2020, definitely would have went with, songs more like which is funny because Home wouldn't have existed.
Right.
Guess,
So yeah.
Guess might have still I'm saying if Nick didn't like go after M
Right.
and make that whole
those
viral.
two songs may not have even happened.
Yeah,
Type shit.
Guess would have happened because of the Vlad thing anyways. But like Home wouldn't have happened because Home was a response to the internet's response to my song.
Yeah.
It was like
Yeah.
they're putting me in the stand box, and I was like, oh no, what the fuck, you know
Yeah,
what I
it's
mean?
different.
And then I was over all that shit because I'm pretty off the internet, bro. I try to, that shit
Yeah.
it'll fuck your brain up, dude.
For sure.
So like I deal with it in very small doses, and I got over the course of like 2-3 weeks of them songs dropping and the internet going and me being to talk all this shit and all that. You're just like 24/7 just fucking watching the internet, and some of it's good, and then other people are saying I'm getting like fucking death threats and shit,
Yep.
and the craziest shit in the world, like over a song,
Yeah.
But I'm like, that's when I wrote Black and White, because I was like, bro, I'm over all this shit, bro. I said what I had to say. I want to go back to rapping, and so, but like Home and Black and White wouldn't even probably happen, and
would have been a completely different album at that
would have
point.
been completely different. And White Sin too. That was the George Floyd thing, but like, here's the thing though, it might have gotten worse, to be honest. Like I might have gotten bigger and then went down real quick, because I probably would have dropped Double Standard first, because doubles, or White Devil, but Double Standard is like, that's like a very, that should be on the album Fuck You, like it's it's a very like, this how I feel if you don't,
it's a very abrasive like take,
super abrasive, and I felt like it was raw and real, and I don't apologize. I actually just said that recently in another song. What about your song Double Standard? What about it? I double down on it. I stand on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's facts, but if I was going with the song that's gonna like create the most noise or whatever, and I didn't have those that happened, so it probably would end up being that one, or I don't know. But
yeah, and then like with 2020, you dropped the 3 projects.
Yep.
And then you waited almost 9 months before you dropped the self-titled project.
Yeah.
In 2021, the Mesus project.
Yep.
Was that just was listening to what we were talking about earlier, as far as letting some of the stuff breathe, or taking a different approach in 2021, as opposed to I dropped 3 albums and people are asking when I'm dropping something new type stuff?
Yeah.
Because it gets lost, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. It was I'd taken a breather, and I kept putting music out, music videos, but I just knew it's like, bro, I gotta let these albums breathe, because they're just whatever. And then I dropped the Mesus one. That was more like, I wanted to give people something that wasn't controversial, because I was getting just kind of deemed that, bro, because and for understandably so, I get it, man. Like it was, people didn't know who the hell I was, and then I come out of nowhere and I'm just this guy that's saying all this shit. I get why I got the title and the label, but I was like, nah, and I wanted people to have something that just wasn't whatever. And I was actually very happy with the rollout of that album. I was very happy with the everything about it, man. Like I was like,
Promoted it better.
yeah. The only thing that I felt I didn't like, and this is kind of just like, I don't know. I was like, it needed more songs. It only had 8, and
It was 8 tracks.
yeah, in my opinion, like 10 is an album at least. So I was a little shy on the amount. But other than that, I was pretty happy with the project, and I was kind of had my core set, bro, and I was like, it sounded like I said corset. Pause. But anyway, like I was like, all right, I got it. I know where I'm going, bro.
Yeah.
And then I wrote Dictator, because even though I was trying to steer a different direction on me, like I still, um, I still was like, 2020 was still happening and 2021 was still happening, and it's like I was trying to get the fuck away from that label, but it's still the natural way I process what I deal with in life. So I remember when Biden got in office and he mandated the pokies, and I got really fucking mad about that, dog, because I was like, yo, it's one thing to be, if you want to, that pissed me off, bro, because one of his big things he said, which shocker, a politician lied, but like, I'll never, and then it's like boom, and not just like whatever, it's just like he mandated pretty much that shit all the way across the board, basically, man, and it was just like, I don't know, man, I just barfed that song out, bro. I mean, literally, I was so fucking pissed off.
Well, and it's your
biggest song.
It's your biggest song.
That song,
and that was a standalone single, right? That's not even on an album, which is crazy, right? Is it on Rapist?
Yeah, it's on Rapist.
Yeah. Which we'll get to in a minute.
But it was dropped as a single, right, and it sat there. It's lived as a single for a long time, and I mean, yeah, that to date, that song is outstreamed like so much of my shit, dog, and outsold and everything, and I used to hate that, bro. Like I'm still like, I'm processing it now. I've gotten past that, but as an MC about all the shit we just talked about, it's like, come on, man, like why is that the song that
That's how it works, ain't it?
Yeah,
that's how it works, bro.
But I'm not tripping now. I've learned to kind of embrace it and just say, you know what, man, I'm grateful for that song.
It's all part of the ride, man.
Yeah, and it's crazy because some fans, I've expressed this, even maybe someone will watch this and feel some type of way. Hopefully they won't. They'll listen to the rest of the shit I gotta say.
Yeah.
But I fucking, sometimes when you say that, bro, like people will get in their feelings, bro, and be like, "Oh, you didn't mean it, or you didn't, or whatever." You're a sellout, or you're this or whatever. And it's like, no, it's like, bro, I meant it, I mean it, I stand on it. Just like whatever I just said about double standard. But it's like, put yourself in our shoes, because I know, obviously you're an artist as well, man. Everybody in the room's an artist. Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't want your fucking life's work to be wrapped up around something that you're like, damn, bro, that was something I said that I mean, but it's like, that's not,
doesn't define
I don't
me.
want this to define me, man. And the way the internet works, whatever's the biggest song, that's what's gonna define you, man. And the way it also works is, whatever's the biggest song, it's probably gonna stay the biggest fucking song, because people just click on, they don't scroll down. Let me find a song with the least streams, because that sounds interesting. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's something I've really wrestled with, man. Like, fuck, how do I beat Dictator? How do I, and it'll happen when it happens, I guess, man. And until then, I've just learned to accept it and say, okay, it's cool, man, and I just got to make the standard 20 million stream songs. That's all. That's my bar. Right. I just whatever the fuck.
But that's, I mean, it's dope. It's dope that you're able to get that kind of success from that song. And
right.
Following year, you collabed with Burden.
Yeah.
You and Burden dropped his Strength in Numbers album, which is a really dope project.
Appreciate it.
And that's just something that y'all had collabed before this collab project several times, right?
Yeah, just one.
Just one time,
just one song, but it was, I mean, that song probably made it feel like, but I mean,
that was the one on Burden's album.
That shit went ham, bro. Like,
it
was just good timing, and that song was it's still one of my top streaming songs, actually.
Yeah, and that was a dope project too, man. And that, I'll let this plane go by real quick. What was the name of that one?
Strength in Numbers.
Strength in Numbers, yeah. No, the one
Riot for me.
Riot for me. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
yeah. When Burden talks about it, yeah, yeah, yeah. I was listening to that on the way here.
Yeah, that's a cool song, man.
Yeah,
It's I actually that's it's funny because on that project, that's like probably one of my like least favorite verses though of mine, like personally.
right.
Yeah, but I just felt like it wasn't. It's a good verse. I just don't. I don't know.
Yeah,
No, I don't like it that much.
yeah.
Out of some of the other verses on that album, I felt like American Dream is probably my favorite song on that album. That's that's definitely my favorite song actually. But but that was a fun project. But I don't feel like it really was a good. I tell him all the time. I think we need to do another one and call it Strength. And I think Strength and Numbers is a cool
Mm-hmm.
like
Like
like Strug and
moniker for you to,
Jelly, or
yeah,
you know what
yeah.
I'm saying. They do their you know
Me and Leroy do the bad habits. That's what me and Leroy.
yeah. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
it's a cool thing.
yeah.
Um, but I just feel like and again, there's no rush, just no whatever. But I wanted to do a fuller album on that shit. I
Yeah,
wanted to do a more balanced album. That whole album was just angry. We're pissed at the government shit, and it was
right.
just like,
No, I
I
see what you're saying. You want like a more well-rounded like rap album,
yep,
more or less.
cause
Yeah.
cause he's a fucking rapper,
No,
dog.
for
Like
sure.
I mean, he's been doing it way before he kind of caught he's got huge songs that have nothing to do with politics
No,
and
for sure.
none of that shit,
Before and after. Yeah,
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 before and after, exactly.
yeah.
And like, me, he he's like kind of an example of like I feel like where I would have been essentially same, which is why I feel like eventually we linked up anyways. But like, had I been putting shit out prior to the and the funny shit is you look at it racism, dog. Like that album, not to go back, like, but like I said, there's songs 2014, 2015,
Yep.
6. Eracism would have dropped if I was in that state of mind of
It would have
actually
dropped in.
dropping shit, that would have
Yep.
dropped in like 2016, 2017, which was really, in my opinion, when a lot of the racial, which is why some of these songs started to,
Yep.
I wrote them. That's when a lot of the racial shit started to really,
2017. I remember 16, 17.
yeah,
Yeah.
like because 14 was when Trayvon Martin. I
Yep.
want to say that was Trayvon Martin that shit happened, and that was I believe when like BLM was actually founded was
2014.
after
Yeah.
Trayvon Martin. And so, but it's like it didn't just happen overnight. And then, but
Right.
yeah, like you said, 2016, 17, shit started to get fucking dicey, dog. And,
Yeah.
I wrote a lot of those. And at the time, I was actually engaged to someone, to my ex fiance who is black. You know what
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it was like, I had a lot of like, personal, because people would ask us during. I remember reflecting back on conversations that I had with people. Just people would ask. I was in a lot of conversations that I would say, if you weren't, in that situation, in that relationship, you probably wouldn't have been in.
Yeah.
A lot of conversations, and I got to hear both sides of a lot of things, and that's where a lot of that music was coming from. Because I was just like, this is crazy, man. Like, but so anyways, yeah, Burden, he had a lot of music, and I felt like it didn't give either of us honestly a good, presentation of
Right.
what we could do. But it's a solid project. I just feel like it could have way more success. I think if
Right.
we put just unpolitical or whatever you want to call the subjects on there.
Yeah. And that leads us to the most recent album that you wrote, which is more or less a compilation, I would say.
Yeah.
The Raptivist, which you dropped, 50-song project you dropped last year, 2023. That's what was out right around the time you did the podcast episode with us, me, Squints, and One. And you speak about that briefly, then we can talk about what you got coming up.
Yeah.
But the Raptivist basically wasn't it just a? It was basically it was all of the albums up until this point, correct? Isn't that how you did it?
Sort of. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so if you go to my IG, and if you go to my IG and look at the very first post, I'll show you. It just help you with this. And like Raptivist was like it was my attempt at a couple things. It was my attempt of like, because after 2021, excuse me, 2022 and 2023, I kind of went like silent, bro. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I dropped music, I dropped singles here and there, but I don't think I dropped an album after I didn't drop an album after Strength in Numbers, I don't think.
Mm-mm.
And so, I mean, you're talking, that was March. That was early of 2022, bro. So
Yep.
2023, no, 2021. Or wait, 22, my bad. So all the rest of 2022, I didn't drop an album.
Mm-hmm.
All of 23, and now as we're filming this, we're in April of 24. So we're talking about it's been 2 years since I dropped anything. I bottled up so much shit because I was like, dog, I'm tired of getting this label. I'm tired of getting this political thing. And so I didn't drop a lot of those projects. And so if you look at the thing I was showing you on Instagram, that the albums there, it really was a collaboration of Eracism in that
Mm-hmm.
top right corner, Deletes. But shout out to Squints because he did a lot of the artwork on
Oh yeah,
this
shout out Squizzles.
shit. FU, FU2, and then on the bottom right corner there, Raptivist. So it's 5 different individual albums, and it was kind of, in my opinion, it was a cool way because again, it was like going back to almost what I was saying earlier about putting the shit out is better than just like not having it out at all.
Yep.
And I, because my thing was like, you know what, the people that are gonna think that about me, they're gonna think that about me no matter what.
Right.
And the people who actually like that music, and I feel like I'm actually kind of like doing a disservice by not giving them the music that I made or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like fuck it, I'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Because I also wanted to drop this idea of this 50 song project on the 50th anniversary of hip hop.
Yep.
So that was where I was like, you know what? Let me rebundle all this shit, put it in one project, and basically FU2 and Deletes, those are a lot of that unreleased shit. FU2 and Deletes
Yep.
are projects that if I could go back, and that's why if you look at the very first picture there,
Yep.
that's actually like a sentence. Meaning, if you look at it, it's Dear Rap 24/7. I'm erasing racism, deleting the elites. Fuck you if you don't like it, and fuck you too if you're in a patriot. My name's Mesus, the Rapist.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Hell
That's
yeah.
what that is.
Yeah.
So
I'll put that collage picture on the screen so they can see it.
Yeah. So that's what that whole thing is right there. That's why I posted that and asked people what it is, because it is kind of like I guess a good way to move into what I really want to do. Is I feel like if I would have released projects like this and say I dropped them you got 9 albums there, 10 with the Strength in Numbers project with me and Burden. So call it 4 years and some change.
Yep.
Basically, that's close to about an album every 6 months.
Yep.
To me, I feel like my career would be in a whole different place had I did it that way. Starting back in 2019 or so, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's something that I can't change, but I can also kind of correct, course correct.
Yeah.
Because that right now, man, to me, I feel like a lot of people have gotten the wrong perception of who I am and what I'm trying to do in music and like who Mesus is, bro. You know what I mean? I don't like speaking third person. I'm talking about the fucking artist, like what to expect when you get from him, because and it's right now, it's expect the unexpected. You don't know what the fuck you're gonna get. You know what I mean? You're gonna get this, but then I might be screaming at the top of my lungs about some shit I'm mad about, and then the next song it's all chill and calm. And people say, "Oh, that's great," but to me, it's not, again, it's not like the best. I'm not saying every song's got to be the same and be boring or whatever. I think it's good for artists to grow and change, like, but I feel like it's been just this or this or this. Like, it's not just
0
kind of
or
a
100.
little consistent different changes.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of tired of the peaks and valleys, bro. I want kind of more consistent. I don't want to stay the same. I want to keep growing and changing and feel comfortable. If I want to make if I want to jump to a completely different genre or some shit, I want to be comfortable enough to be able to do that, but do it in a way where it's not so fucking
drastic.
Holy shit. And because because look, at the end of the day, man, like it's a music career is business. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, and therefore you have to think about doing things in a smart way. It's not about like, treating the music as a business.
Yeah.
don't ever change that. You know what I mean? And there's some artists that can't differentiate the two. And I was one of them for a long time. I was always like, no, my art, my art, my art. And, you know, by the grace of God, man, I've been able to have a few songs pop and be able to have a career and enough to sit back and process the shit. And
Yeah.
now I'm like, okay, man, I got, again, kind of like how I said, I got to drop something. God gave me a talent. I can't just bury it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, God gave me a career now. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Manage that shit right, because not everybody gets that opportunity, man.
Right.
And you, I could sit here and, oh, I fucking earned it. And there's
Yeah.
a lot of people that are fucking worked harder at this shit and
Yeah.
better than me. You know, better, quote, however you judge that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like more strike, whatever, and they didn't for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, so can't take it for granted. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so that kind of little thing, that's what I'm working on now, dog. Is actually I'm probably gonna pull these down,
Mm-hmm.
and not like in a deleting them way, but I'm gonna actually probably pull them and like re-release them, not like on some big grant. I'm not really gonna make some big super announcements about it. I mean, I'll probably like promote it the week it drops or some shit, but I'm not trying to like bring a ton of attention to what I'm doing. I just want that story to be told
Mm-hmm.
when people go to my shit. And like I said, the way you go to Spotify or
Yeah.
you go to YouTube or you go to whatever, right now what's getting the most attention is the stuff that I prefer gets the least, to be honest.
Right.
So I gotta fix that. And then yeah, man, really I'm just excited about moving forward. And um I got a vision for the next sentence that I'm trying to write. I
Mm-hmm.
can even say it, man. The next sentence is gonna be dear rap, um doesn't you can have all the gold, all the girls, all the glory, all the goals. It'll
Mm-hmm.
never make you God. These are all albums.
Yeah.
It'll never make you God. Sincerely yours, Saint Mesus, the Rap Jesus, aka Chuck.
Yeah. So the next ones that you're preparing to drop this year, can you announce which ones those are?
Yeah. So the next, okay, the very next album. So I'm gonna drop, probably pull these and then re-put in that order.
Mm-hmm.
Raptivist, Mesus. The only one that I never dropped out of this picture is this Patriot one.
Yeah, Patriot.
Yeah. So Patriot would be like, say I didn't do that, Patriot would be the next album, but because of the order I'm trying to put them in, Patriot is, I'm super excited about this one. And I like Patriot because it's like, you know, I'm not fucking political, dog. Like the last song on here,
Mm-hmm.
well, second last song is called Political, and it's got my homie Swag on it, Young Swag.
Mm-hmm.
Dude's, I love his style, man. So like, Swag is literally like, it's kind of like he even says himself, he's like, I can't kind of, I'm like stuck with it. He's like, cause
Yeah.
but he's like, I'm like, yeah, but it actually does, like, you have a really fucking like smooth style, bro. It's like a
Yeah.
very, so, but anyway, I'm excited about that album because it's got you know, I kind of actually did some features that I haven't
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really been super collab heavy in my life up to this
Right.
point. In this project, I got a singer out from Miami named Hadass. She's just doing like a small part on the hook, but me and her just collabed on one of her songs. Jam Wayne is on,
Shout out Jam One.
yep, is on a song called What Army, and
Mm-hmm.
that shit's crazy. The whole project, man, is like, just, it's 9 songs and it's just top to bottom, like just heat. And I, on the picture here, if people do go back to the Instagram and look, it says American with Struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Strug's getting on it. Strug had to leave for tour before we get it finished.
Yeah.
So that's the bad news.
Yeah.
Good news doesn't matter because I have a song, me and the homie that we've been talking about, you know, that I grew up with doing this shit. And it's really a long time overdue for like us to link back up. Adam and I did a song aptly called Kids.
Oh, that's
So
fire, bro.
so Kids is
I'm
on
glad to
that.
hear that, man.
Yeah, Kids is on there in that spot because this was also something that I want to do, and a lot of my like fans probably know this, but like I haven't dropped CDs, I haven't dropped physicals, and I haven't done a really good job with even the digital promoting a lot of times of my albums. So that little like thing that I do with the title going down the middle of the playlist and shit, like that was something else that I wanted people to see on this post that I did,
Mm-hmm.
because it's a lot of thought and like just whatever
Yeah.
that goes into it. And so that's what I'm saying. Like that I that I replaced, even Adam hit me up because he was originally, his album was gonna be called Patriot Music, so it was gonna be another like 6 songs after
Yeah.
that. And so Adam was gonna be actually where that was at, American,
Yeah.
and American was gonna go towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
And so when Adam saw this post, he called me. He's like, "Hey, what album is that song going on?" And I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, so what had happened was,
Yeah.
and he said, "Oh, you doing that thing again? You're doing that thing. You're thinking.
You're thinking too
Just
much.
put
Yeah.
the shit out." And I was
Yeah.
just like, "It's coming, dog." I'm probably, no, man, you gotta. And I told, and
Yeah.
so it's gonna, that one's going on there, and then that's kind of like I said, that's kind of on that last
Yeah.
chunk of song albums though. But the new, like new shit, as far as like that'll be on, that's new too. But
Yeah.
I want to write that sentence, like I said, like, so when you go to my Spotify, the earliest shit is the top, right?
Mm-hmm.
So because I want it to read that way, like I said, I'm gonna re-release, but I'm gonna start from the bottom and go up on this next list. So the next project, uh, I might call Chuck. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Just cause like, for those that don't know me, man, like as like in high school, a lot of people call me that, and I don't know, I might do that. But if I don't drop that one, and I end up kind of rewording shit a little bit, it'll be what the fuck was that? Oh, Rap Jesus.
Yeah.
That project I'm super excited about, man.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That's dope, man. Well, this has been cool, man. This has been dope to be able to sit down and have you tell your story, man. It's been
Yeah.
hopefully the people that didn't know a lot of the stuff that you talked about are informed, and even if they did, maybe they learned some stuff they didn't already know.
Yeah.
Last thing I want to ask you:
Uh-huh.
who is Mesus, or
Mesus.
who is Chuck? You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Whichever, however you want to answer that, you can answer it
Yeah.
both ways, or
Yeah. Mesus is well, Chuck, Charles,
mm-hmm.
whatever, man. Me as a person, I'm just a normal dude that loves, you know, loves music, man. Loves hip hop, specifically hip hop music, and loves my family and my friends, and and just, I mean, I'm pretty fucking normal dude. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like I don't, I just, obviously I love the Lord, and I try to um, just love God and love people, man. But Mesus, bro, Mesus is like just an extension of that artistically, and I just wanted a name that really I felt like was a cool like way to say that. You know what I
mm-hmm.
mean? And I want, the Bible in a nutshell, man. The mission that Christ gave us, Christians means, followers of Christ or Christ like, however you want to put it. But the bottom line is like, the whole mission he gave us was to just be like his disciples, and so people see Jesus in us. And so that I wanted to figure out a way that made sense to show that to people. But aptly Rap Jesus, man, like it's kind of like a double meaning. Mesus is like, yeah, I want people to understand God's love. I also want to be like, you know, like the quote God of this rap shit. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? You know what I'm saying? So it's like Jesus, the rap Jesus, like, I'm coming to save this shit because it's whack.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know what
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying? Like, and again, man, I'm sitting in a room with gifted motherfuckers. I'm not saying every artist is
No,
whack by
no, but
saying
I see
that,
what you're saying though.
but
Yeah,
it's that mentality, kind
yeah.
of that Kendrick mentality of like, I'm here to, yo, we always gonna raise this bar, man. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Like, bro, we ain't letting whack shit fly, man. So that's what Mesus is, man. Is a rapper that wants people to find God through hopefully some of the stuff I share, and find healing in some of my music and stuff, and understand the other part of Jesus in me is that like it's the me part too. It's, bro, like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm because a lot of the pushback I'll get against my music, like Squint was saying, man,
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, he calls himself music. You know, a lot of
Yeah,
people, they think that they might go as far as saying it's blasphemous.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they don't say that, they'll say, well, you're supposed to be reflecting Jesus, but you F-bombing this, F-bombing that, and
Mm-hmm.
you talking about violence and stuff like that. Like, how you justify that? And
Yeah.
it's like, first of all, I think people got a really misconstrued idea of what a Christian is. You know, I think a lot of times people think it's just some soft, like limp wristed kind of like pushover
Mm-hmm.
type of human being, which is not what Christ taught, you know, but that's another story. But the point is, like, you know, it's also me, bro. Like, I can be real. Like, yo,
Yeah.
like, hey, man, like, I still struggle. Like I talked about, I still struggle with my addictions. I still
Mm-hmm.
struggle with anger. I still struggle with my fucking past. I still
Yeah.
struggle with
Yeah.
anxiety about the whatever, man. Like, I can be both of those and exist
Right.
in that middle tension there, man. And that's what I want to do with Mesus, is bring people from both sides to Christ, man. But, you know, people that
Mm-hmm.
can relate to my pain and my struggles and my problems and my real life shit, and come, and maybe they ain't so much on the church side of things, and then also people on the church side, like, hey, man, come on, we got, you know, it ain't us versus them, man. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's good versus evil, and Bible already said none of us are good. You know what I mean?
Right.
We gotta let God work through us, and that's how it all comes together. So
Yeah.
that's what Mesus is, dog.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah,
Well, I appreciate it, bro. We'll put all your links in the description. Make sure everybody taps in with what you got going on, and
yeah,
you're the homie, man. So anything we can do to help you in the future, whenever the album drops, I'm sure you'll get
amen.
back on the pod now that we're in the new spot too. You
Yeah,
know, so um, we appreciate you, man. I'm glad that we was able to get this done, bro.
yeah, same. Likewise, man.
ChadArmesTV, Mesus, baby.
Love y'all.